She is as a flower who emanates a sacred perfume that draws the bee in to produce the honey. She is immersed through her beauty and the saturation of her soul force, immersed in a sacred, holy immersion of her essence. This is the potent vibrational medicine of women and of a woman's beauty. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Daughters of Eden, Holy Temple for the Divine Feminine Light. You are receiving, let's say, a preview of this temple space. We're holding space for that today to share it with the YouTube community. My name is Beck and it is really lovely to see you. I have been called by Spirit today to share with you about feminine beauty. The emanation of a woman is actually much like a flower. When we see a flower, we are actually seeing the sexual organs of a plant. And we are seeing that flower in its full bloom, in the fullness of who it is as a flower and what it is as a flower. It is exposing and showing its holy medicine for who it is. And it is very rich and beautiful, and the flower has a perfume, and even those that don't have a perfume, humans are drawn to these just as the bees are. We are drawn to their beauty. There is something about a flower that calls us in. We have an appreciation, a rich divine appreciation for the divine beauty that a flower is being. And so too as women. Women emanate beauty. Beauty is the purest expression of the divine essence of a being, of a life force. This being, it sings and is saturated and immersed in its own energy, and its colors and its vibrancy and all of who and what it is in a state of full expression, full liberation, full freedom. And this is the call or invitation for women today. We are invited to remember what beauty truly is, and we are invited to allow it to flow through us, to be what a woman actually is, which again is much akin to a flower. Energetically, that is what you are, and you are so beautiful. And so I really want to share all of this with you. We're going to talk about, I've got some notes if you see me looking down. We're going to talk about the metaphysics of beauty and how that really, and feminine beauty particularly, and how that weaves into a whole fuller expression of our DNA and this amazing magic, this amazing magic of a lost ability that women had and held, and you have deep in your Venus pathways, aka your sexual pathways, your energetic lines, meridian lines in that area of your body. Before I get into it, I want to invite everyone to please follow the Sacred Temple __ on Instagram to stay up to date with all of the offerings and information like this. And please, if you haven't already, do like, comment, subscribe on this video. That does support this channel, and I'm so grateful for that. And I also want to let you all know about a beautiful women's holy mentorship that I'm offering on behalf of Spirit called Elysium, Embrace Your Beauty. This is a group mentorship for women to really expand upon what we're going to talk about today, to go deep, deep, deep into your embodiment, and to really wrap yourself with your beauty and live from that place of not just beauty but confidence, power, freedom from shame, sexual aliveness, and magic, and really embodying that. The Sisters of the Dawn, which is a collective consciousness connected to Venus, and our magical history as women, have asked me to offer this, to give this. And I really just want to invite you, if you are interested in this topic, to please check that out in the links below. It is a sacred invitation for you to really, really embody divine feminine magic in the richest way, and to live that with each other and to shine. And I also have a couple of free classes coming up. One is Love Over Fear, the remembrance of love through the invitation of Venus. This is this weekend, so please check that out in the links. We have another one for the Divine Feminine Temple called Holy, Make Known Your Voice, also free for women. And I have another one, oh my goodness, called I Am Beautiful, and that's to learn specific practices to embrace your holy sexual power and to really feel confidence in your beauty and to live from that and deepen the magic that we're going to do today. There's a lot going on because this is a magical school that you've found on YouTube. Yay. Okay, thank you for hearing all of these invitations. I want to just give so much magic to all of you. So when I actually quickly, guys, I wanted to say a little part of the intention of the temples is for us to one day come off of YouTube. And I don't just mean me and my creativity, I mean that as a society right now, we are really hooked into social media. We are really dependent on it, and it's become our place for community. And it's such a great thing. It's such a great gift. But there are darker energies involved in that, and there is unfortunately a dark root with some of these social media companies. So part of my intention with offering you guys free classes and paid classes and deep work, one-on-one work and mentorship, the temple, to create a temple community where we're not dependent on YouTube, we're not dependent on Instagram and all these things, and we can connect in a more pure energy. So if you do like what you see today, please do consider coming to the classes and receiving more, and I will be continuing to share with you all here to reach as many people as possible. But one day, our society, the intention of the temple, the sacred temple, our society needs to evolve, and we need to remember society and come into that together. And we can begin that together, and I'm so excited. Okay, feminine beauty. Feminine beauty, what a magical topic. Okay, so when a woman chooses to fully embrace and is able to actually move her essence, who she is, her life force, her soul essence, deeply through herself, and particularly through her sexual pathways, which isn't just limited to the yoni and the uterus and so on. It's also, women have these gateways, so gateways that the masculine structure does not have. Some of them they do have, but the system kind of links up in an interesting way with women due to the presence of the womb, which is actually a portal space for and has a connection to Venus energy. And when we're healing to allow our sexual energy as women particularly, which is deeply connected to emotional energy, so know that if you're working on emotional things, you're also weaving life into your sexual pathways as well. But things get really rich and powerful when you go more direct and you go deeper with that. But when women are able to really allow themselves, stop suppressing our beauty. We have done this for centuries and centuries, basically to keep ourselves safe from the oppression that we have lived through, and the suppression of women's beauty, her magnetism. We'll get into that because magnetism is an energy connected to beauty, and it's a very powerful energy. And the power, those in power of the patriarchy, unhealthy masculine, by the way, there's nothing wrong with men and masculine energy, only when it's distorted. And we have been really suppressed by that energy. And part of that has been perhaps an unconscious knowing in some of the masculine patriarchy, but also long ago there were spiritual groups of light and dark that knew of the power of women, and of course they wanted to and succeeded for a long time to control that because of the power of a woman's magnetism, and some deep magical history that I will go into in the classes that you'll see linked below. It's very interesting, the true reasons for the mistrust and divide between masculine and feminine that we live through right now. But it means that women have been not really living in the full expression of ourselves energetically. We haven't been in our full health or our energy, so we haven't been able to radiate our power really fully. Your power is just the strength of your vibration and your energy, and how strong that is, how big and expansive that can be, how much you can manifest it in your life, in your form, what you can give to the world through the collective heart space, things like that. So we actually, through an amazing magic, by going through what you're going through today as a woman, you're living through having been suppressed and having kind of like there's been kind of a death of the feminine energy inclusive of beauty, and it's been in a dormant state, a dead state or a dormant state. And it's true that many women that I talk to or coach have sort of, and myself in my own personal journey, by the way, have this like feeling that like you're kind of dead down there. As one client put it, you kind of have, it really is just a dormancy, okay? You can't truly lose what you are, but we have a lack of aliveness or spark in our sort of lower chakras connected to the sexual pathways. And often not just that death sort of energy, but also a lot of fear, a lot of unsafety and resistance. You know, the death energy comes because basically we went into a huge resistance into what we are energetically, because we needed to survive and stay safe, and we were being oppressed by the masculine that said, you know, don't be your full expression, keep that energy down. So we disconnected and pushed it away, and if it would arise, you pushed it away. And I'm talking over many, many lifetimes, not just this one today. But by going through what you're going through now, so we're going through a time cycle where we've been in a deep state of ascent, and now we're coming back into an ascent. And with ascent becomes, you know, what's dead becomes reborn, what's dead becomes resurrected. And through you just being here in this particular density, society, consciousness that you're living through right now, around you and within you, you are actually doing something. You came here with a specific purpose to actually go through a death, live kind of in the death of it, so that you could replenish or relearn the process of birth or resurrection. You can't do that if you start out fully alive and shiny. And women, we needed to reclaim that woman, feminine energy can work with death, energy, because death is not really death as such. Things do end. So if you, but it's different. So what I want to say is, if you imagine, when people talk about the void, or they talk about the womb-like structure of the universe, or they talk about that void blackness of emptiness, but also the potential of everything, that's a womb space. And you could imagine for a moment with me this kind of like blob of like like a circle, and it's black, and it's space, and it's spacious. But also kind of quietly dancing and ebbing and flowing. It's that energy that's really full of nothingness. It's very weird nothingness, but it also has a potential energy blooming in it. There's this potential energy stuff in there, dancing in there. That's the nothingness and the everythingness. So this particular side of the universe, let's say, or expression of energy, of the overall energy, void space, nothingness, womb space, it is something that is quite embodied and natural to women. This is something that we are holding in your form, and it's expressed physically by the fact that you have a womb, but it's also just an energy that you have within you. And because of the nature of this structure, because it's connected to, imagining that pool of blackness, imagine that things do go into void to die. So if you dropped something in there and it got completely submerged and taken by the darkness, but you know what? Things then also come out of that darkness. Form comes out of the formless. So you drop it in, wait a little while, 100 years, 100 cycles, no time at all, whatever it is, and then it re-emerges. It is reborn. It is resurrected. It is reborn into the womb space, and then through an actual birth, we could say it would be resurrected. So actual birth means that you have like a physical birthing. So you bring what that is into your physical reality and out of the containment of the womb space. So we actually have great power in that. There is a great ability there. And because women have been sort of pushing away being a woman and your femininity in all different sort of expressions, we have actually sort of lost touch with the fact that we have this capacity. We've lost touch with how you might use that. If you didn't lose touch with it, if you were full unit and we were fully in alignment, you can do wonderful birthing, advanced magic with that. But what we're saying right now is that women have the power of resurrection or rebirth of a soul, of a life, of whatever you're creating. And we are meant to be in our beauty. You must become in your beauty to be, if a woman becomes alluring, what she's actually embodying is the magnetism, the magnetic pull of the void space, or the hypnotic pull of the void space. That's why a lot of women's dances have like a sexual hip movement. When you do this, you actually energetically, if you're in a decent state of alignment, are kind of activating the womb portal in there, and literally can hypnotize the masculine. And not in like a crazy way, but kind of just influence their consciousness. That is one reason why dance is so associated with women. But it really is just the physical expression of magnetics. So the masculine is the positive polarity. So it has more of an energy of pushing outwards, of going towards or pushing outwards. And the feminine polarity has the negative charge, the magnetism of pulling in. So when you, or women, when we suppressed our beauty to stay safe, we obviously stopped doing this then, because beauty is the first part of the allure. And beauty also is not some superficial thing. It's about cultivating an expression in the external world of who you are. You know, that color of the flower, your chosen color of who you are. You might express that in all different ways. Beauty looks different on every woman. You know, it can be, you know, I know for me as an example, like some days beauty is doing my lipstick and, you know, wearing a nice piece of clothing and things like that. Some days it's no makeup and just like exfoliating my skin and just feeling really rich and beautiful in that state. Whatever your beauty expression is from moment to moment, day to day, and individual to individual, if you suppress that, you're not connecting to this magic that you have. And this magic is not just to pull in a man, but to pull in energies to create, to birth whatever you want to manifest, or whatever you might want to heal, or a masculine partner, sexually, to do sexual magic, or to have a good positive tantric sexual experience, or to just manifest your partner and be in the correct energy to bring someone into your life. So beauty is important, and you need to remember that this is a part of who you are. And what we need to know as women is that when you pull this in, when you do the pulley in thing and the correct energies come, what happens to those energies is that they get submerged into that void-like structure that I mentioned. They get submerged into that, and they if it was a person, if it was a man, and you're doing this magic correctly and powerfully in an embodied, healthy way, ritual way, they will be pulled into an ego death. They'll be pulled into the love of the feminine, the love that lives in that portal, and they will be consumed and surrendered into a kind of ego death. So it pulls the masculine, or whatever energy you're working with, into a state of death. But remember that that death is really about transmutation and changing the form, or elevating that energy, elevating that form or that man's consciousness or whatever into its rebirth, renewal, its highest expression. So a wonderful thing or example of this in a really beyond kind of way, but is important for us to know, and when I was channeling this is a part of our history. We need to remember, men and women, humanity, we need to remember this, is that if we think about Christ, and we think about the fact that the being that we know as Yeshua or Christ was actually a great kind of alchemist, a great spiritual master. There's a lot in this that I won't go into hugely right now, but he was intended, that being was birthed and intended by women who knew this kind of magic. And they pulled in a certain kind of essence or consciousness that the being called Yeshua was, or embodied. He was actually created through sacred feminine rites that did not require the seed of a man, but only to call in the essence of life, a certain essence, a certain star connection, a certain pathway connection, a certain frequency of light was called into the Mother Mary's womb through great deep magic and ritual and training that she would have had to go through to birth this beautiful being that could hold and sort of physically give, just by being physically embodied, bring it to earth and bring it to man's consciousness. So the life of Yeshua was a really big ritual, let's say, and it was planned, his birth was planned, and also even the visualization of the cross is actually a sign of the sun, or a convergence of certain stars, which is the path to where we're going, and I'll get to that in a minute. So when he incarnated, or he was birthed, and he was a human here, he was really embodying a certain kind of light, and his life gave that to us just by being, and it allowed it to be in physical form. This light that was kind of very high and unable to be in any other way. It wasn't yet kind of grounded into the third dimension, or able to be accessed into the third dimension. Through incarnation, that becomes accessible. So he became this great love, this great light, this great everything that you might associate with the truth of Yeshua, the sun. He's very associated with the energy of the sun. Hence, S-U-N-S-O-N in the Bible is really about his connection to the sun. And that he is the son of a pure form. He did not have a father in the human form. So he was light. And then when he died, upon that ritual symbol, that star symbol that we call a cross, he became or gave his light. He gave his light through that. He did a great transmutation process. When they say he took on the sins, he really, through great intention and ritual, sort of absorbed or took on a lot of shadow that was in the collective of humanity. And then through his death process, which was really a transmutation and magical process, he transmuted that. And that was a gift. That was a gift, not only of him, the women who plan this and practice this, and all of the beings involved in this great elevation of humanity's consciousness that was Yeshua's life and death. And when he died, you could say that his light, kind of like if he's like this one essence being, it kind of ether and became a collective light. It kind of like he dies and his consciousness just goes into this liquid light, liquid white light, and it expands into the collective consciousness. That means that it went into the ether or the collective light of humanity. It was a gift for us to receive, and that his consciousness and all that the magic that he became, the ascension that he became, melded into and became accessible to the hearts of all humanity. Now you and I have access to and can remember that light, and we're coming into the age of Christ consciousness because we have that energy is available to us, and that's what we're embodying, and I'm embodying when I connect with my heart, and you are as well. And now that we have that, we can actually rise through the heart. We can actually rise through the heart and ascend the pathway that I mentioned earlier that was connected to the symbology of the cross and stars, is actually to ascend to the star known as Alcyone, which is a star in the Pleiades star system. And this star is really just remembrance. It is not only holding, but it is humanity's future, humanity's remembrance of who and what we are, our ascension. Lights in the sky, stars, are information. And we, through his life, there was an invitation became accessible for us to connect to that light, for you to access that. You couldn't access that in such a rich way before. Only very, very advanced people could really do that. So now, as women alive today, and men, we all have access to an invitation to that Alcyone pathway of ascension. But for women, because of the particular power of birthing that we have, and all these elements of death and rebirth and stuff, we actually have an ability to create a pathway to birth, to actually create a new kind of human. And this is the process, the magical process of ascension. What I mean is that because you are a woman and you are alive today, if you go through your divine feminine, you actually heal and mend those pathways and liberate yourself and become fully expressed in that, become fully able to connect to your womb power, and you're able to energetically be in a state of health with the feminine in yourself and express it and embody it. Your DNA is changing. So our DNA changes all the times that we heal. But particularly as a woman, because of the connection to birth or the power to birth, we are able to create an ascended DNA. So now, if you do all that work and then you have a child, that child will not be in such a deep state of forgetting because of what you went through. And he or she will have such a deeper, greater access to the feminine. And if they are a feminine embodiment, a female child, they will have all within themselves a remembrance and a healthfulness in their sexual pathways. Their birthing power, their beauty power, their magnetism power will already be within them because of the work that you're doing today of enlivening yourself and coming out of death and coming into resurrection. And the only way that I can really remember, at the beginning we said that beauty is, or the flower is seeing this emanation, this of your own essence. The only way that I can really become beauty, to become the perfume and the hypnotism and the magnetism for energies or a man, whatever, use this correctly, is to really soak and saturate myself, immerse myself in my essence. And we do that through healing. When I have my own essence fully flowing through me due to my healing as a woman, now in that purer state and more enlivened sexual pathways state, now I have this or ability to hold that I didn't have before when I was a bit more unhealed, ability to hold the holy spark, the divine spark of the God force. When we, you and I, this time now, when you do this, you are creating a new magic, or we could say a very, very, very old magic is being resurrected. It is a new power to wield within yourself, more powerful, more giving, more beautiful. Before, I wouldn't have been able to hold that holy spark of the God force. Now I can. So, I have access to this higher radiance of the God force, and I can hold and love that spark and what we want to do, and divine birth. And I'm so excited, and I can't believe that Spirit wants me to share this so publicly. I think though that it's exactly what's needed right now. I think that information is being revealed intentionally. You have the power to do what is called holy birth. What those sisters did to have a essence, a baby, for example. A baby is just one form that you can create without a man's seeding. And it's not about that being like some big achievement or anything, like over men. It's not bad to have a man involved in the birthing creation process, but also women need to remember our unique ability to birth. And so if I get so in alignment with my magnetism, my beauty, my pull, all of that, my sexual alive, they're no longer dormant, I can now hold this God spark. And holy birth is really the practice of allowing that holy spark to grow in me, but be in alignment with divine will. So I'm allowing it to become whatever needs to be. I become a vessel for the universe, for God force to birth through me whatever is in the highest will. And I can allow that, give the control of the manifestation to the light. It's a combination of being in a deep place of surrender, and just if you surrender to that and you've got this kind of spark in you, you're just holding it in your womb space. And what I'm talking about is letting the control be up to the God force. Is I'm not getting up in there and trying to manifest something specific with it. I'm down to the purest essence. I'm creating a pure essence that the collective needs. And in its full, down the track form, it may be something more specific and physically specific. But this first initial phase is about calling in the correct essences. I love this talk. I love this so much. Okay, so when we are doing holy birth or holy manifestation, we want to be in a state of surrender to divine will. May what wants to birth through me be. May I be a vessel or a vehicle for whatever is in highest alignment and service and love to myself and to all life. And so there's that part. And you will receive intuitions from divine will about any action steps you might need to take, any details you might need to weave into that manifestation. Receive exactly what needs to be formed through my intuition, and to build that as well. So, but the point is that you're creating through the will of the spirit, not my like human ego will, like, oh, I'd really like a car. It's okay to want a car. Or I'd really like a child. This is the way we want to be with a child too, is it's okay to want a child. But you have to be in that state of let it be who they are, let it be exactly what is in alignment for soul, for a God force, for life. Let the car that comes to me, or the medium of transportation that I manifest in my life, be exactly in alignment with what's in my highest good and highest will and love of all. And let me follow my intuitions that I may get to help build that. I'm so excited about this talk, guys. I can't handle it. So this is the order, the practice, or the service of the Holy Rose. The order of the Holy Rose is a specific line or lineage of divine feminine energy, or women, who are remembering at this time now. If you are a woman and you are watching this video and you are feeling a deep resonance in your womb, perhaps if you're seeing a vision of a rose like I am right now, you may be a part of this order of the rose. And I believe that that's so much of what my work has become about, and I can't believe, like, it's so amazing. Because so when you're able to practice that practice of birthing through the Holy Rose, or holy birth, which means we're not getting in the way of the manifestation, we are in complete service to what divine will and the good of all needs it to be. This creates a holy form. It means that what I create or birth, a life, a child, a consciousness, an energy, it will already be, it will be saturated and immersed and emerged in and through the holy love, the holy gateways. I'm going to explain that in a minute. So if you do manifestation like this correctly through holy birth, and you have the, you've done the training to do this, what you birth, a life, a child, their DNA, a child, or something that you create or manifest in your life, or the healing that you do within yourself or for someone else, it will have already gone through the 3 stages of ascension or development, spiritual ascended development. And these have to do with the 3 gateways that live within a woman, that I will keep just for private women's magic classes. It's important to sometimes protect some of this information, particularly the steps of exactly how to do it. That's something that we as women need to do in sacred time together. So, but if you learn to do this correctly, you will be able to have a creation, a life, whatever it is, that is the 3 stages of development, which is saturation, so being held or formed by love. So when something is born into the universe, the first thing that happens, the first stage, is that it is formed by love. It is held, you could sort of imagine it being held and held in the God force, the love force, a light, a great light. And then it goes through immersion, where it is in that womb-like space. So a womb is really an immersive kind of being soaked in something even more, but to the point where it may actually go through a dissolving as well. Sort of towards the end of the nurturing and being held part of it, it may go through it goes through a dissolving. And that's where, what I mean is, it's fully sucked into that blackness. Because right at that end point, when you go into the dissolving, then you come in right into the third stage of emergence. And this means something emerges, it re-emerges, it goes through a rebirth, emerges. And then when it emerges, then it's ready to be birthed into form and to go through those gates, or to go in sort of your consciousness development as you heal and you increase your consciousness. We naturally go through these stages. You could call the saturation. And then you'll go through another stage when that's complete. You'll go through a stage that we could call immersion. Then you'll go through a third or final stage called emergence. Remember I said the womb kind of creates an ego death. It also has to do with the black sun energy, which I just mentioned that in case some of you know about that, and we might have to talk about that in another video. But it is kind of taking you into that void space. And then it takes you into an emergence. So I had to go, in my own personal journey, I went into these really deep, really dark, difficult states of identity changes and sort of ego death, but also facing really deep darkness. And I remember having this feeling like I couldn't explain it, but I was like, I'm dissolving, I'm dissolving, and I could feel this thing that I now understood was the black sun in me pulling me, like I felt like I was being pulled into something and I was going to dissolve. And there was like a little bit of a battle with that, as we always have with an ego death. But then what you need to do is you need to go into surrender. And then now you are seeing me after my emergent state, and hence the rebirth and the birthing of the temples. It's amazing. So we go through these as sort of your healing journey. We go through these in our life. So you go through it, I go through it. We actually, when we come into the emergent stage, we emerge with the ability to do this whole holy birth thing. This gives our own soul and all life, the collective, and our lineage and all we touch, it gives it the opportunity to have already gone through those stages and to be kind of born or live from that ascended place. You and I are doing the healing work, so our daughters and our daughters' daughters and our sons and all of that, and not just life, but what you create in your life, the future generations of humanity's consciousness, of life in this universe. You are doing the work now for that to be in an ascended state. So the next children that are born and the next children that are born, they will have a higher consciousness. And this is an amazing service that you have done with your life today. If you are on the healing journey, your life is about you and your soul's expression and what you're learning, and it's such a gift to yourself, and it's also a service. You were incarnated, you were an essence that the God Force decided needed to exist, because there's something in you that I can receive when you're fully immersed. And so if you're doing the work, especially women, I thank you. We must remember our beauty and actually understand what feminine beauty is. It is much category of what society or your own brain or judgments has decided that beauty should be. Beauty is all around us. In life, it is nature. There's so much beauty in nature because nature is living in its fully emerged expression of its essence. Nature, trees, plants, flowers, that beautiful sunset, they don't have these issues and resistances with holding ourselves back and taking on trauma and not being sure what to do with it and all of that, because they're on a different journey. But it can teach us. It can teach you what's possible, and it can show you who you are. And who you are, whether you are a man or a woman, is beautiful. By your nature, you are. And I thank you each for being here today. And I thank the Sisters of the Dawn, the Light of Venus, the Song of Alcyone, and all of the women in this sacred temple space, all of the women in the future, in the now moment, in the now time, the song in our DNA, the song in our womb. Thank you. Yay! Okay. So everyone, just one more reminder to please click subscribe, like, comment, tell me what you think. By the way, I love hearing from you guys, I really do, and I want us to share in community. Come along to the classes. This is like the beginning of our living our remembrance in our Ascendant Society. That's one of the big intentions with the temple, and we need to do it, and I love it. And yes, please follow on Instagram, the Sacred Temple __. And yeah, let us hang out again soon. Have a good day.